Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird, here to talk about the brand new, or having just finished rather, comic book series Jeepers Creepers. This is a 5-issue comic book series that just came out this year, 2018. I think the last issue dropped, I think it was October, early October, possibly September. But I'm here to review the entire 5-issue series for you guys, and I'm going to talk about it like I have the past. I'm not going to actually break it down as much as I did like the comic books for Halloween, because those are really hard to get your hands on. These are brand new. You guys can probably get your hands on all of these, or at the very least, there's going to be a trade paperback coming out very soon with all of these issues. I took them out of their bags and boards. That's why I don't want to be too manhandly with them. I'm very OCD about the treating of my comic books, but I am going to say that this series, my overall thoughts, I'll do this review like we normally do it. I'll go my overall thoughts, then I'll talk about the story, then I'll talk about the art and everything in turn. So I will say that overall, I actually enjoyed the series. It is not the best, deepest Jeepers Creepers story. It doesn't surpass the first or second movie. It does surpass the third movie in my opinion, but they do some interesting things in this book that I think would be at home in a Jeepers Creepers sequel, and I think this would actually benefit from being translated into a film. Now, one of the first things I want to address here, you guys, is the fact that yes, it is hard to talk about the Jeepers Creepers franchise at all without addressing the controversy surrounding the original writer and director, Victor Salva. Now, I want to be very clear. This comic book series came out, and I will show you the credit page here. As you can see right here, there is not a single credit to Victor Salva. Victor Salva had absolutely nothing to do with this book. And even in these tiny little names down here, right here, you guys can't see them very well because they're really small print, but his name is not there. They are not giving credit of any kind to Victor Salva in this comic book. This is its own Jeepers Creepers entity. I'm not sure if it's because it's, backed by the studio, and the studio has to deal with Dynamite Entertainment, but if Victor Salva has anything to do with this, they do not let on in any way, shape, or form within the comics. So that made me feel a little bit better about covering it. Now, I will say that while the story is just kind of okay and not as good or as personal as Jeepers Creepers 1 or 2, it is different enough that it was interesting for me to read. I will say the pacing was all over the place. I wasn't a fan of how this book was paced, especially the jump between 3 and 4. Like there feels like there's almost an entire issue missing there. But the artwork, you guys, the artwork in this Jeepers Creepers book is amazing. I really, this is the kind of artwork that I really like. Some people might consider it sort of commercialized artwork. It's not, necessarily very independent feeling. It's bold lines. It's, defined artwork, and it feels more along the lines of Ivan Reis, I think is how you say his last name, who is in DC, and it's very defined stuff. So I will say, like, the very beginning here is right here, one of the earliest pages, just so you guys get an idea, is the creeper flying in and crash landing in the on a farm somewhere in America. And then he pops up, and just so you can see, they really do the creeper justice. I mean, look at that. He looks pretty good. And anytime the creeper is on, I actually liken this particular artwork, whenever the creeper is on specifically, there's not many words, and I say not many for a reason, which I'll get to, which is one of my biggest issues with this book. But as you can see, it does even down here with just the teeth, the close-up of the creeper smile that we've seen a few times, he looks really good, and he growls a lot. So we get introduced to the creeper there, and then we get introduced to the main character. And here's where I say it's very DC, because this character looks a lot like the DC Comics portrayal of Clark Kent. And tell me I'm wrong here. I mean, that's our main character, Devin, right there, and that's him. That is a Clark Kent if I've ever seen one. But a younger version, of course. So anyway, Devin is a graduate student who is basically creating a thesis and studying dragon mythology in different cultures. And specifically, there is one myth that he is following through different cultures, which is the myth of a dragon man. And that therein lies the most interesting aspect of this comic book. And let me tell you what I mean. So we meet him, and he obviously is looking around and trying to find out. He arrives. Let's see, where does he arrive in this first issue? It's been a few weeks since I freaking read this, but anyway, you know what? It's not worth taking the time to go through and figure out exactly where it is. But anyway, he's going around the world and following up on stories of dragons in, mythology. And so he gets to this place in South America. I can at least attest to that. And the Creeper is off on his own, of course, driving his truck that everyone knows, and doing his thing, happening across random hitchhikers and offering his special brand of assistance. But this here is a perfect example of something that they do in this comic that really aggravated me. That, to my recollection, in my viewings of the Jeepers Creepers movies, has never been a thing before. But look, so the Creeper finds this guy sitting on the side of the road, and the guy says, hey, I could use a hand here. And the Creeper, when we first saw him in that other picture, was missing a hand. But right here, you see, he actually says, so, right here, so could I. Guys, the Creeper talks in this book. Why does the Creeper talk? I don't remember the Creeper talking. Am I wrong for not remembering the Creeper talking? Did the Creeper talk in those three movies? I don't remember the Creeper talking in those three movies. He growled and he sniffed. I don't remember him talking in those three movies. But here he talks in this comic. Issue 1, he talks. So they're adding to the mythology. But here's what's interesting. What they do that's interesting to me is he is obviously in Mexico, obviously. And he's at these Mayan ruins in South America. Well, maybe not Mexico specifically, but South America, like I said earlier. And I think this is the Mayan Chichen Itza sort of place. I'm not sure if that's how you say it or not, but he basically is following up on the lore of this tribe that was in the Mayans. It's something that the Mayans did that we didn't necessarily know about, and it does this flashback and shows that they do a sacrifice and pull the heart out of their sacrifice in order to feed to the dragon god, which you can see is the Creeper. So the interesting thing this comic does, and I'm only going to show you the artwork from the first book, I think, because I don't want to spoil it for you, but the Creeper is shown in various different areas throughout time and the world's history via this comic. It's actually really interesting in that way. And so what you find out is this character Devin finds this little knifey weapon here, and he reaches in to touch it and gets cut. And as soon as he does, the Creeper takes notice and basically says, "Come find me if you dare." And that's how the first issue ends. So from there on in, we find out the story does a few different things. First off, because of that one moment that I just showed you where he cuts himself on one of the Creeper's weapons that he's left behind that this kid Devin has found, they now share a psychic connection. They actually explore that a bit in the second episode, and so I'm already going back on what I said. I'm showing you some artwork in the second issue here, but the reason is it actually makes, see here again, this is a great example of the artwork for the Creeper. Very John Cassaday. If you don't know John Cassaday, he's done some amazing work. But look at this. That's just the Creeper walking in his lair, and you see him all, creeped out on the right there. It's so awesome, the artwork here. But one of the things that we find out while Devin is making his sort of investigation, he comes across this Native American gentleman that makes him tea. Turns out the tea is spiked, and Devin ends up going on this journey, finding out about the creeper in this multitude of pages that is an acid trip. It's really an interesting thing they do in the second issue here. I'm telling you, this book would make a really good Jeepers Creepers movie outside of the, Victor Salva continuity. And it continues on, telling a little bit more about the creeper as this guy Devin finds out, and they sort of realize that they have this psychic connection. And so for the rest of the book, it's a 5-issue series. They have this thing where, at least for the next issue, issue 3, they're still separate, and Devin is trying to track down the creeper, and the creeper is sort of dreaming of Devin and starting to mess with Devin's thoughts because they have this psychic connection. And then the weird thing that happens is that in issue number 4, it just starts off with them fighting. Like, apparently between issue number 3 and issue number 4, they found each other, and it literally starts off like this, with, yes, admittedly, a really badass splash page, right? How cool is that, you guys? I mean, I'm trying to get the light to show you without glimmering, but that's a really cool splash page. So the issue starts there, and it's like, wait, how did they get to the point where they're fighting? But here they are fighting, and it actually is pretty cool. I'm like, all right, well, now that we're here, let's do it. And they have us knock down, drag out fight, which again, I'm not going to spoil for you here, but because this comic is brand new, guys, those Halloween comics were 10 years old that I showed you everything in. But there's some really cool stuff, and honestly, I just really enjoyed the artwork. Even though the story was a little lackluster, the artwork was so entertaining, and I will say that they did take a hefty cue in the finale from the first movie. So I will say that, it doesn't end the happiest. It doesn't end exactly the same way, but it doesn't end the happiest. I will say that. And the last thing I want to make sure and point out, now that I'm up to the 5th issue, I want to show you guys each of the individual covers. Because here's the thing. I only got one of the covers I really should have sought after, but I didn't have any control over which ones my comic store pulled for me. But they had a special guest do the covers, or do the alternate covers. The main cover artist did a really good job, but the alternate cover artist was none other than Kelly Jones, who has done some really amazing Batman Elseworld comic covers. But just so you guys see all the comic covers, here we go. So that is number 1. I'm going to get you guys a good look. It's the creeper screaming up at the sky with his face all creepered out. That is actually, I believe, a Kelly Jones one. Yep, Kelly Jones right there. That's a Kelly Jones cover. I have 2 Kelly Jones covers. I wish I had all 5 Kelly Jones covers. This is another Kelly Jones cover. That is definitely a Kelly Jones cover. Very Kelly Jones if you've ever read any of the Batman Vampire books. Issue number 3 is where we get into the other cover artist, who is really kind of cool and abstract and Sienkiewicz-ish. It's almost like Bill Sienkiewicz and the artist of 30 Days of Night, Ben Templesmith, had a baby. Because look at this stuff. This is another one by that same guy. Same cover artist. That's a really cool creeper. And then the last issue right here, that is the final cover that I got. They did about 3 or 4 different covers per book, but those are the 5 that I have. Obviously, there's the 5 around me here, but yeah, you guys, that was the Jeepers Creepers comic book. I'm willing to bet that the trade paperback is probably out now by the time this episode comes out. So if you're so interested and you like the Creeper, I recommend getting it. I really do. The story isn't the strongest, but it's an extension of the Jeepers Creepers universe, so it's not gonna be. But the artwork is where it's at, you guys. If you want some really cool representations of the Creeper, something that is very refined artwork in a Dynamite Press book, then Jeepers Creepers is where it's at. Again, no relation or no attribution to Victor Salva, so I don't know that I don't think he's profiting at all from this, and thank goodness for that. The guy doesn't deserve it. Do your own research if you want to find out why. But that's why I felt comfortable talking about this book. Plus, you guys are horror fans, And, you know, you like Jeepers Creepers like me, if you can put that aside, which is honestly very hard. It's very hard to do, but I just like creatures, so I like the creeper, and I was willing to talk about this because no involvement from the man. So, thank you guys very much for watching. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I might do the Chucky books that I have next, or I might do the Species books or the Final Destination books. I'm not really sure. Let me know in the comments down below if you have a preference. But yeah, I'll be back next week or the week after with another comic book review. I'm not sure if I want to make this weekly or bi-weekly. Why don't you guys let me know your opinion on that down below too. Would you rather see this every Wednesday, a horror comic book review, or every other Wednesday, a horror comic book review? What works for you guys? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys very much for watching. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird, and remember, stay scared.